We're doing an episode on Nickelodeon, so naturally in my head I'm hearing Nickelodeon. That sound is just so nostalgic. I mean, Nickelodeon has been pumping kids' minds full of great content for years. First starting on our TV screens and then moving its way to the big screen. And from Jimmy Neutron to SpongeBob to Rango, not to mention some Ninja Turtles, Nick movies have been forcing parents into theaters with their kids for over 2 decades. And I gotta tell you, I'm still going, and I am not a parent, and I am not a kid. And with the latest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem making its way from the sewer into a cinematic critical success, this is honestly a great time to talk Nick movies. So my friends, get ready to dust off those orange VHS tapes, I know you still got them somewhere, as we count down the 10 best animated Nickelodeon movies, all ranked by Tomato Meter, right now on Rotten Tomatoes Countdown. Starting with number 10, of course, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. This marks the third film based on the popular SpongeBob SquarePants series, and it arrived in 2020 in the middle of a global pandemic. The movie is both live action and computer animated, and along with the regular voice cast from the show is an impressive list of guest stars like Awkwafina, Tiffany Haddish, Keanu Reeves, Snoop Dogg, and the Danny Trejo as a villain named El Diablo.
What he should have told you was, it's not a dream!
You might be right, Patrick. That felt pretty real.
Yeah, that really hurt.
Hang on, Patrick. Foul demons be gone.
What the heck is that?
Sponge on the Run, which follows the origin story of how SpongeBob met Gary the Snail, is dedicated to SpongeBob creator Steven Hillenburg, who served as an executive producer before his passing in 2018. It may be number 10 on this list, but that doesn't mean it's still not fresh on the tomato meter, with a critics' consensus that calls it, quote, a wondrously wacky visit to Bikini Bottom that retains the charm of the original series. Number 9, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. This 2004 live-action and animated comedy flick was the first cinematic adventure for SpongeBob, and it was originally actually supposed to serve as a show's series finale, but thankfully Nickelodeon ended up ordering more episodes. I actually remember going to the theater preparing to mourn after seeing this. Big-name guest stars for this one include Scarlett Johansson, Alec Baldwin, and the Hoff, as in David Hasselhoff, playing a live-action version of himself. But perhaps even more important was the film's soundtrack, as is with any SpongeBob episode or movie, that includes songs from Wilco, The Flaming Lips, Motorhead, and Avril Lavigne. But really, none of them can even touch I'm a Goofy Goober, sung by SpongeBob himself. I mean, what a bop. It is still stuck in my head to this day.
Hey, settle down. Take it easy. What the scallop?
I'm a Goofy Goober! You're a Goofy Goober! We're all Goofy Goobers! Goofy, Goofy, Goober, Goober! Put your toys away. Well, all I gotta say when you tell me not to play, I say no way. No way, no freaking way.
SpongeBob the movie was the feature directorial debut for series creator Steven Hillenburg, who looked at some famous silent films from people like Charlie Chaplin for motivation, along with work from 2 comedy stars who served as inspirations for SpongeBob, like Jerry Lewis and Pee Wee Herman. Number 8, Paw Patrol the movie. This computer animated adventure comedy is courtesy of our friends up north in Canada, and is based on the popular show Paw Patrol, which began in 2013 on Nickelodeon. And it features several cast members reprising their roles from the series, who were joined by names like Kim Kardashian, Randall Park, Jimmy Kimmel, Tyler Perry, and Ian Armitage from Young Sheldons as the voice of Chase. I gotta say, that list of names is almost as impressive as all the new gadgets unleashed by the Paw Patrol in this movie, aka all the potential new toys.
The Paw Patrol? What are they doing in Adventure City?
Chase, set up a perimeter. Chase is on the case.
Paw Patrol the movie is a fresh 80% on the tomato meter, and it brought in nearly $145 million worldwide with a budget of around $26 million. I mean, that's good enough for a second Paw Patrol movie, which will happen to be barking up your theater later this year. Number 7, Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. Okay, so in the same way I had to get the Nickelodeon sound out of my head in the beginning of this episode, I have to begin this by saying Jimmy Neutron. I mean, Jimmy was one of my favorites and arguably has the best animated hair to date. I mean, next to Johnny Bravo, of course. But unlike many of the movies on this list, this one actually came before the show, The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. After creator John A. Davis pitched the idea to Nickelodeon, they were interested in both a show and a movie. So Davis suggested doing the movie first so that they could create the assets needed on a higher budget and just reuse those for the TV show. And it totally worked. I mean, I guess that makes him a man genius. The movie, which features Debbie Derryberry as the voice of Jimmy, along with Patrick Stewart and Martin Short in supporting roles, follows Jimmy as he tries to save all the parents in his town from a race of egg-like aliens, the Yolkians.
Come on, everybody, get in formation. Carl, you're too low.
Come on, you stupid butterfly with
Go, counterparts, go!
Hang on, we're passing through the stratosphere. Now the mesosphere. Entering ionosphere.
Oh, now I know why they all end in fear!
The Certified Fresh Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius was nominated in the very first Best Animated Feature Oscar category, but it lost to Shrek. And it ended up being the only Nickelodeon movie to be nominated for nearly a decade until Rango won in 2011. More on Rango later. Number 6, The Adventures of Tintin. This movie from 2011 was directed by the Steven Spielberg, who produced it alongside Peter Jackson and Kathleen Kennedy. And it's based on the comic book series of the same name by Her J. Spielberg became a fan of the comics after a 1981 review compared them to Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Spielberg was like, sign me up. Jamie Bell stars as Tintin and is joined by voices from Daniel Craig and Andy Serkis, just to name a couple. And in the movie, Tintin and friends are actually searching for the treasure from an ancient ship.
It's almost empty! Captain, this may sound crazy, but I've got a plan. The alcohol in that bottle may give us a few more miles. I need you to climb out of the plane and pour it into the fuel tank.
Christopher Columbus! Oh, it's a terrible storm out there. And it's raining.
And you call yourself a haddock?
The Adventures of Tintin grossed over $374 million worldwide, and it became the first mocap animated film, get this, and first non-Pixar film to win the Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature. Plus, the John Williams was nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Score for this one because, you know, he's John Williams. I mean, him and Spielberg are literally peanut butter and jelly personified. With a certified fresh tomato meter score of 74%, the consensus from critics says, quote, drawing deep from the classic Raiders of the Lost Ark playbook, Steven Spielberg has crafted another spirited, thrilling adventure in the form of Tintin. And look at that, my friends. We're already halfway there. What's going to be in the top 5? And really, who is going to take the top spot? I mean, if only there was someone around to answer those questions for you. Oh yeah, that's what I'm here for. Continuing with number 5, Rugrats in Paris, the movie. This film from the year 2000 is the second one based on the Rugrats series, with the events taking place before season 7. The movie is considered to have the first major villains in the Rugrats franchise, with Susan Sarandon voicing the child-hating Coco LaBouche, with her right-hand man, Jean-Claude, voiced by John Lithgow. The story follows Rugrats on vacation in Paris, which isn't as near as elegant or peaceful or croissant-filled as you might think. Now I'm in the mood for a croissant.
I'll show you how it's done. Stop wobbling, Chucky! Don't tell me, tell my dream!
Oh, my shell. Stop! In the name of France!
Look, Chucky, I think they want us to stop! Don't do that!
Okay then, don't stop.
Now, we could break down how well this one did at the box office and what the critics think, but what you really need to know, my friend, is that the soundtrack features artists like Jessica Simpson, TLC's T-Boz, and the Baha Men. That's right, the song Who Let the Dogs Out from The Ladder gained popularity after appearing in this movie. So if you're ever looking to blame someone for that classic song, now you know. Number 4, the Wild Thornberrys movie. Based on the TV series The Wild Thornberrys, which ran on Nick for 5 seasons, this 2002 film features the voice of Lacey Chabert as Eliza Thornberry, an 11-year-old girl who talks to animals. She's also the reason why I started to talk to lizards in my backyard in Florida. And in this movie, she's on a quest to save a cheetah cub from poachers. Not all heroes wear capes.
Mom! Stampede! Battle stations, everybody!
Come on, come on!
Mumsy, stand absolutely still. They're not carnivores. In fact, the gazelle is actually quite harmless. Unless you happen to be a tuft of grass.
It's a Kayla!
The Wild Thornberrys movie earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Song, which was called Father and Daughter by Paul Simon, but it ultimately lost the Oscar to Eminem's Lose Yourself, as one does. Anyway, critics called this certified fresh offering entertaining for all ages, and a crossover sequel film featuring characters from RUGRATS, which was released the following year. Love it. Number 3, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. Arriving in 2015, this is the second installment of the SpongeBob SquarePants film series, this time directed by movie first-timer Paul Tibbitt, who had taken over showrunner duties for the TV show. Now, speaking of the show, the usual voice cast was back and joined by Antonio Banderas for this one, who just has inarguably one of the greatest voices of all time, and plays live-action Burger Beard. That's gotta be a Halloween costume. Can we get some more Burger Beards during Halloween? He's basically a pirate who steals the secret Krabby Patty formula, forcing SpongeBob and friends to the live-action surface to stop him. And you know what that means. Beach day!
If you ate all that, you'd have enough energy to run around the whole world.
This was the first Hollywood studio animated movie to use hand-drawn animation since 2011's Winnie the Pooh, which, this is a really fun fact, also features the voice of SpongeBob, Tom Kenny, as the voice of Rabbit. Isn't that so cool? Love a good random connection. Number 2, Rango, as promised. This 2011 film was directed by Gore Verbinski, who was looking to do a quote-unquote small film after knocking out a few large-scale Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Little did Gore know just how hard and time-consuming and expensive animated filmmaking can be. Sorry, Gore. He once again teamed up with Johnny Depp, the voice of Rango, who's also joined by people like Ela Fisher, Abigail Breslin, and Timothy Oliphant. And the actors actually shot their scenes live so that animators could use them as a reference in what they called emotion capture. And that's what I call my EMDR therapy sessions. It was all for what's described as a comedy western, which contains a number of references to classic western movies.
That was a bad idea.
Thirsty, brother?
There it goes!
Rango became the first non-Disney or non-Pixar film to win Best Animated Feature at the Oscars since 2006's Happy Feet, something that actually wouldn't happen again until 2018's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So it sounds like someone's got an animated monopoly. The critics' consensus for this certified fresh adventure is that, quote, Rango is a smart, giddily creative burst of beautifully animated entertainment. And last but not least, number 1, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. It truly is a case of the latest is the greatest, because it's already a massive hit with critics and fans. And this brand new iteration of the classic TMNT material brings its own artistic style, a fresh voice cast, and new story details. The four main turtles are actually voiced by relatively unknown actors in an effort to cast actual teenagers, with the foursome recording much of their dialogue together to give it that really authentic teenagers hanging together kind of vibe, but with better smells. Hopefully.
Master Splinter has given us a very important mission for tonight. The target is across the street. We must use stealth and cunning to infiltrate the human world and retrieve Go-Gurt.
Okay, Batman.
Dude, what? I'm just trying to hype you guys up, okay?
Give me that list, okay? What else we get?
Mutant Mayhem also has a big name supporting cast, with Ice Cube as the main villain Superfly, Jackie Chan as Master Splinter, that's such a good casting, and Io Adebri from The Bear as April O'Neil. And if you're in the mood for a really impressive list of actors, they're also joined by Giancarlo Esposito, John Cena, Post Malone, Paul Rudd, and Rose Byrne. And don't forget, of course, about Seth Rogen, who's a producer, co-writer, and the voice of a villain for this movie too. With a certified fresh score of 96%, well above the #2 movie on this list, by the way, the critics praise its unique visual style and a story that captures the essence of the franchise's appeal. Plus, it's great for the whole family, to which I say, cowabunga. All right, my friends, we did it. Now it's time to celebrate with a Krabby Patty. If only we could get our hands on the formula. But seriously, I do want to see you dressed up as Burger Beard for Halloween. For more on all these movies that we discussed today, be sure to hit up RottenTomatoes.com. Thank you so much for checking out today's list. Until next time, I am your host, Naz Perez, and we'll see you back here for more Rotten Tomatoes Countdown.